happy Rebel Stakes Day, Oaklawn race fans. I am Nancy Holthus, joined alongside our track announcer, Matt Dinnerman. Matt, happy Rebel Day, your second go-round.
Our second go-around. So it feels like once we get a run in, it's like being a second-time starter, So I think we're going to break from the gate just fine today and finish strong to the wire. But what a day it's going. We had to wait a little while. Had a few anxious moments with the weather, but here we are.
Yeah, see, you got the nice cut,
Yes.
looking good. Pretty, as I said, when you get pretty fly for a white guy, Matt. I like.
We were trying to figure out what song this was.
It's from the '90s, so yeah, I'm thinking you were still running around playing t-ball probably when that song was popular.
Probably so.
We do have 12 races on today's card. Glad to have you back. Glad to be back in the Oaklawn Today studio. So let's do what we do. Let's take a look at Mother Nature first. As we do see, we are starting with mostly sunny and a fast track. No winds. I like to see that, especially when they're not coming out of the north. And we are currently at 37 degrees. And I believe, Matt, we are going to be in the 60s tomorrow, if you can believe that.
Even today we'll be in the high 50s at a high.
I like that.
It'll warm up for sure. And it's sort of interesting how that works this year. I mean, we've seen just really wintry weather and then immediately followed. I think a couple weeks ago we had that, and then there was a day it was like 77 degrees.
Yeah, it's just so bizarre, but it is going to be nice enough. We are very excited that the infield will be open, so make sure you head out to the infield. It's a great place to watch our live racing. Let's take a quick look at the news page, which we're starting off with our leaderboards. Christian Torres still in front by about a 16th with 34 wins. Bejarano and Bacon, that's Raphael and Tyler, really duking it out for second. Raphael with 24 and Tyler with 23. Steve Asmussen still leads the trainers, but not by much with 17. Ron Moquette and Ken McPeak tied with 16, and Chris Hartman at 13 victories. Steve Asmussen and End Zone Athletics tied at 6 for our top owner, and Ruiz Racing having a very strong meet as well with 5 trips to the winner's circle. Today's original race card has been moved to tomorrow, so there will be live racing here tomorrow with a 12:30 first post, so be sure to put that on your calendars. We have 12 races, half of them stakes. I don't think we have ever done that before.
Which is pretty incredible.
That's
given
amazing.
how long we've been around here at Oaklawn. Literally, essentially.
Literally.
And more.
There are purses of $3.396 million up for grabs, and in our Honeybee and Rebel Stakes, each offering a total of 105 Kentucky Oaks or Derby qualifying points. So I say we get right into it, Matt.
Yes, we got a lot of ground to cover.
We do. We have 12 grounds to cover, if you will. We do start things off with a maiden special weight event for 3-year-olds, and they will go a mile and a 16th in distance. A field of 10, and it looks like it's going to be a very competitive group and some lightly raced runners as well. What are your thoughts to start things off?
Well, I think that Clever again, although one that looks like he has ability, off a layoff, first time going a mile and a 16th, I'm going to try to beat him on the win end. I made him my third pick in here. I like Shepherd in this race at a little bit of a price. I think we're going to see plenty of prices today, Nancy. I think this is just a very competitive card. You can find value. This horse, first time out, comes out of a really solid race, ran third to Innovator and Dream and Blue, who we're going to see in the Rebel today. Then tried routing. Looked like a horse that wanted to go the route, and he didn't run a step. There were no excuses that day, but he's trying routing again, and I like that. If Kenny McPeak's trying him to go to route again, that tells me that maybe he thought there was an excuse. Maybe he thinks this horse is better than that. So I like when a horse gets bet like he did last time, doesn't run, they enter him back in the same condition. Maybe there was an excuse, and you get a price this time.
I'm going to go with Doroteo. Is you thinking that's the
Doroteo.
Doroteo. You add some little Latin flair on that. Jose Camejo ships in, as well as Axel Concepcion. This is their sole contender on the day's program, and we're in a respectable third, first time going a route of ground. That was at the fairgrounds and over the slop at a mile and a 16th after on debut running second in the Sugar Bowl. So first time out, debuted, looking for and got some black type. Those races both have gone in pretty quick times and does sport the field's highest numbers. And the jockey trainer combo at the 1.1/16 distance perform at 23%. And I think there's going to be enough speed in here for this runner to rate and get the job done in the opener. Race number 2 is a very competitive first level allowance for 4 and up, and they are sprinting 6 furlongs. We do have a couple scratches out of this one, taking out numbers 3, 6, and 11. And Matt, you mentioned some good prices potentially on the program.
Absolutely, and I picked my price play of the day in here.
Ooh, I like it.
Number 8. There's a decent amount of pace, not quite as much as maybe I had originally anticipated, but this horse here last time out ran poorly over a muddy surface, but he comes out of a good race. Disco Ball, the winner, very nice horse. Devil's Tower, who ran second, came back to win. Pretty much your favorite horse in the backstretch. And I think this horse, second start off the break for Steve Hobby, is going to run better this time around. The thing is, too, if you look at his last year's form, it took him a race or two to finally get into tip-top shape. He's won at this type of level before. We saw it last year. He's won an allowance race. So this horse at a price with Tyler Gaffleone aboard, he is live, I think, at a big number, 15-1 on the morning line, and I'm taking him on top.
Well, I'm going to go just to the inside with the number 7, Good As I Once Was. Ricardo Santana aboard for trainer Matt Shire is winless in 3 starts here at the meeting, but has produced a second and third, and I like the fact that all 4 career victories have been at today's distance, and this runner is very consistent, firing 25% wins, 4 victories in 16 career starts, has just been really knocking at the door, and I like the fact that this runner is tactical. When you do have these races, there's usually there's a good amount of speed on today's card. So the fact if some of these runners do decide to go out, this once Good As I Once Was can certainly sit back and rate, and also gets off the rail today, which he did draw last time out. Race number 3, another first level allowance at 6 furlongs. This for the fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward. A couple scratches, one in the body, Benny K and Susie 2, and you're also eligibles, but we still have a very competitive group of 11.
We do, and I did pick the favorite, though, Ashburn Alley, number 1. First time out in 2023, won on a sloppy surface in a New York bred maiden special weight, took 15 months off, so something happened there, multiple things, and came back here at Oaklawn, moved to the barn of Robbie Medina, and ran a really good second. Did everything but win into a fast pace, sat off, came with a run. Second start off the break. Obviously, this filly has some ability. It's just she hasn't raced very often. So off that last run, off the long break, you're always a little leery about whether horses are going to be able to run well after such a long layoff, and they showed good form before the break. But this gal here, I think, is going to get a pace to run into today, and I think that's going to suit her well, and I think that she can get it done. I don't think that last race was a fluke.
Another one giving up some recency is the 10. There's a Silver Linen. Mike Maker and Irad Ortiz Jr. team up here. I love the fact that we are kind of the center of the racing world today, because all of the top jockeys across the country are in our jocks room upstairs. Last race was a second against some tough starter allowance runners at the $20,000 level at Belmont at Aqueduct back on October 20th. This runner's super consistent in the money the last 9 of 12 career starts, and has won multiple times off a similar layoff. A lot of horses do their best to work fresh, and I do think that is going to be the case with the number 10. There's a Silver Lining, who is stepping up to face Allowance Company today. Let's talk stakes, as race number 4 is the first of 6. It is the 46th running of the Carousel. We also have an amazing Carousel restaurant upstairs. This is for the fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up, and they are going to go 3/4 of a mile in distance. Scratch the number 6, Ms. Bouchero. But Matt, this is a very, very talent-stacked group.
It is. Miss Bucaro scratched. 5 of the 8 runners in this race are stakes winners.
That's amazing.
It's a very good quality field. I love that Cherie DeVoe with Justique, number 3, who's my top pick in the race, got this gal to sprinting. If you go way back in her 2-year-old year, she was a very solid sprinter. And then for whatever reason in California, they kept trying routing her on the grass. And I never quite understood that, because she never did any good on the grass or routing, and they just kept trying it. Moved to the barn of Cherie DeVoe, Cherie gets her to sprinting, and she wins for fun in an allowance race. Now she's in this spot, the carousel. I think she's a very nice runner that wants to go one turn on the dirt, and that is the key. There's a little bit of pace in here to set up for sort of her closing style. Though she was a closer in California for John Sherrison last time out, she actually showed some speed for the new barn. So I think Justique wants to sprint, and I think she can win.
Well, I like your pick, and that is my second choice, but I'm going to go a little further to the outside with the number 8, Lady Moscato. This coming from the barn of the coach, D. Wayne Lucas, and gets Keith Asmussen in the irons. Got black type last time when winning by 3 in the Bugler. That was her first time facing older runners as well. Now she can put wins together, and part of the handicapping that I did today was if runners can be effective running off of Lasix, and she certainly proved that last time out. So third off the layoff, and all 3 wins are local in just 5 attempts. I love a good horse for course, and the other day coach said he was very high on this filly. So we'll see if I'm not gonna ever question Wayne Lucas about anything. So if he says, I like a horse today, I'm going to say, you know what, Coach, I agree with you, regardless if it's 100 to 1.
And you know what's interesting is just getting to know Wayne and talk to him over the last couple of years. Even though he's known to take shots, he's pretty realistic. He will be honest and say, you know, we're taking a shot. This is a tough spot, but we're going to take a shot. Sometimes he does win. But when you hear him say, I really think this horse is doing good, usually they do typically run well.
And that was certainly the case in last year's Honeybee when Lemon Muffin broke her maiden in our Grade 3 event. And I remember being out in the tunnel, or the paddock tunnel, and saying, you know, Wayne, what do you think about your filly in here? And he says, oh, she's going to win. He said, Pat Pope wanted me to scratch and put her in a maiden race, but she's going to break her maiden today. And sure enough, she did it. So really good running. Yeah, he absolutely knows. Don't ever question Coach. Race number 5 is a maiden allowance event. All 3-year-olds, and they are going to sprint 6 furlongs. And a lot of money spent in the auction ring in this particular field, scratching numbers 4 and 6. Matt, what are your thoughts here in the 5th, which does start our second 50-cent pick 5?
Well, we've got 10 runners in here. These are well-bred 3-year-olds, high-priced horses, and Cornucopian, he actually is a hype horse. This horse for Bob Baffert purchased for $1.1 million, but that's not the reason he's got hype around him. Apparently, he was out working Citizen Bull in the summertime.
Wow.
And then he took a little time off, little baby issues physically, has come back, worked very well for the Baffert stable. You look at the pedigree. This runner is actually a half-sibling to Guarana, or Guarana is how you would say it. She won the Grade 1 Madison at 7 furlongs, won the Coaching Club American Oaks at 1 1/8, a half-sibling to a Grade 3 turf route winner named Beatbox, a half-sibling to Magic Dance, who was stakes placed in the Amsterdam, a Grade 2 going 7 furlongs as a 2-year-old. So there's a lot of pedigree here. I think this horse is going to be ready to run. And remember, the last time Bob Baffert sent a first-time starter out of California to run, it was none other than Barnes. So I don't think he's sending this horse here with expectations of losing. I think he's here to show the world that he's got another good one on his hands, Cornucopian. Irad Ortiz riding too.
And who knows, Matt, if this runner does win today, maybe they'll stretch him out next time in the Arkansas Derby. So, I did talk to Jimmy Barnes, Bob's main assistant, yesterday on the backside during training, and he said, yes, we will certainly be back for the Arkansas Derby. And there was kind of that shuffling around to decide who they were going to send to the Rebel. You know, we were flirting with Rodriguez. We were flirting with a few. Barnes was even in the discussion for a while. But it'll be interesting. We do have Matticat Road in the Rebel today, but it's going to be interesting who he does decide to send for the Arkansas Derby.
And it'll be a grade A player, too. It won't
100%.
be Matticat Road. As much as he's a decent horse, he's not a grade A player in that barn. It doesn't appear at this point. Maybe he'll prove us wrong today, but he was a bit of a surprise, actually.
Yeah, he was.
Who it was going to be. So, we're going to get a good horse here from the Baffert barn at Arkansas Derby tonight.
For sure. I'm going to go with the Baffert contender as well, Cornucopian, by 5-time leading sire Into Mischief, who is 17% with first-time starters. If that's not a high enough stat, Bob Baffert is 32% with first-time starters and 34% with first-time starters at the maiden special weight conditions. So a lot to like about this horse. Very well bred, and I do see some future black black type in this runner, living up to his siblings. Those are our selections for the first 5 of 12 on the program. We're going to take a quick break here on the Rebel Stakes Day edition of Oaklawn Today. We'll be right back.
Experience the excitement of horse racing with Oaklawn Anywhere. If you're an Arkansas resident, you can watch and wager on horse racing from around the globe, whether you're at home or on the go, with any smartphone, laptop, or tablet, anytime, anywhere. Download the free Oaklawn Anywhere app and register for a sign-up bonus. With access to past performances, live video, race replays, and expert handicapping data, you're always in the know with no subscription fees. Bet online anytime with Oaklawn Anywhere, exclusively available to Arkansans. Right, Max? Oaklawn Anywhere. Our season never ends. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
And they're off in the Rebel Stakes. Timberlake drifting to the center of the track, but he's clear, coming on common defense, but Timberlake's gonna do it, and Timberlake and Christian Torres win the Rebel by 2.
Back with race number 6 of 12 on the Rebel Stakes Day program. This is a first level allowance, 4-year-olds and up, and they will go 1 mile and a 16th in distance. To have 2 scratches of the 9 Imperial Gun and the 10 Ethan Energy. That's a fairly decent scratch out of this one, but a very good first-time starter allowance nonetheless.
A very good allowance. I'm a little bummed they scratched because both those horses I was looking forward to seeing today, but it's still a good race. I picked Lambeth on top. He ran 4th at this level, was off the pace last time out. He doesn't really have a running style, although last time he was a little bit farther back than he usually is, but he comes out of a stronger race than the horses he finds here, I think. Sir Graylin, he's stakes place, came back to run a really good second to Kinetic in a stake here, and Gewürztraminer, who ran 2nd in that race, came back to win at this level last
I love
week.
that horse's name.
Gewürztraminer?
It just sounds, it just rolls off the tongue.
And Louis Sella used to own that horse.
He did.
Gewürztraminer now in the barn of Sippy Contreras. So maybe if you have a nice day, you go home and you have
a glass of Gewürztraminer. It doesn't sound very appetizing, but it actually is a decent wine.
Apparently it is. So I will have to try it at some point. Just like Rombauer, they named him after a wine. Rombauer wine. So Lambeth is not named after a wine. I don't even know what he's named after. But
Mark Lambeth.
Say that again?
Mark Lambeth, who is part of an ownership group.
I feel like I've heard that name. Okay. Well,
that's what I'm guessing.
If that's the case, then I'm sure Mark is proud of his namesake because he's a pretty decent horse.
And if he definitely becomes a decent horse, then he certainly should say he's named after the horse's name.
For sure. Even if it's not true, Mark, if you're watching, just say it's named after you.
Just say it is. I'm going to flip-flop with Matt as the 6 is my top selection, that being Nullify. I'm thinking the coach is going to have a good day, as well as apprentice Tyler Bacon, looking for back-to-back wins, stepping up in class after a 50 starter allowance victory. And this horse is proven over the local course in the money, 5 of 8, and both career wins have been at the mile and a 16th distance. Tyler gave this horse a very good ride last time out in a race that went in a decent time. I think is going to have to step up a little bit today, but when this horse gets good, I think he's going to stay good, and we often see that in 4-year-olds early in the season.
Yeah, once he got his maiden win, it took him a while. That's what we call the light bulb angle, where a horse takes a while to, break their maiden, and then they do it, and they say, "Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do."
That's what I'm supposed to
I can do that again and again and again, and it
Let's
just
hope so.
cycles into good form.
Race number 7, we've been talking allowance. This is a second level allowance, 2 other than 4-year-olds and up going 6 furlongs. This one, I keep saying extremely competitive. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it is. You've got horses like Carbone, Just Steel, Attaché, Eglise?
Eglise, I believe. I'm going to make sure that's right by
Eglise and
post
Ninja
time.
Warriors. So this is going to be, I think, a race that is going to be decided at the break.
Yeah, and Just Steel ran second in the Arkansas Derby last year, coming back sprinting for the coach. I'm going to try to beat him off the layoff here. I do like the morning line favorite, Attaché. Even though this is a very good field, there's not a ton of front-running sprint speed, and this horse has that. The thing about him last time is he broke poorly and tried to make up ground. It just wasn't a desirable trip for him. He's a cool horse in the sense that when he gets pressure on the lead, it doesn't bother him. He's a bit of a frustrating horse if you bet him and he doesn't break or doesn't get the lead because he's very one-dimensional in that sense. But last time out, he broke poorly. That's not a habit we've seen from him. I'm hoping that trend doesn't continue today. I'm hoping it was just a one-and-done type of deal. This time he breaks better, shows his speed, and if he does, I think he's going to be tough to reel in on the lead.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with Matt. This is actually one of 2 Chris Hartman contenders. He also does send out the number 7 Eglise. But yeah, Tyler Bacon got a really good feel of a troubled trip. And a lot of time Chris Hartman horses, after a bit of a troubled trip, they really seem to rebound in their next career start. And that certainly could be the case with the number 3 Attaché in race number 7. Our second stakes on the card is one of 2 overnight stakes. This is for fillies and mares 4 and up that have never won a sweepstakes other than state bred. It is the first running of the Tri-Vista, named for the neighborhood just around the north turn, and they will go 1 mile and a 16th in distance and a field of 11.
And it's good that we see a big field here because black type, especially for fillies and mares, is very important. So these runners here have not won a stake yet. That's going to change for somebody today. And my prediction is it's going to be Amber Cascade, who comes off a dominant allowance win, has actually defeated the morning line favorite Penwar in the past. A loss to that rival 2 starts ago by a narrow nose. So these 2 are pretty evenly matched. And it'll be interesting to see how the odds board goes. But if Amber Cascade is 7-2 with Jose Ortiz, I say take your money to the window and play because 7-2 would be a gift. I think she's running well today. I think she's well spotted. And even though she draws an outside post, I'd like to see her a few spots more in, but she's tactical, and Jose, I think, can work out a good trip.
I am going to go with the morning line favorite, the 5-2 Penwar. We're talking about wine. It almost sounds like they're crushing Pinot Noir all in one syllable. Flavian Pride aboard for Rudy Brissett. Rudy Brissett kind of having an off meet, so to speak. And when I say that, his horses are running pretty well, but just not getting to the winner's circle. I like the fact that this particular runner has been training up in Kentucky. She's been based at Keeneland and shipped to Tampa last out in the Wayward Lass and ran second and was the beaten favorite that day. I like the fact that she's shown that she can ship and run and also compete without Lasix. She ships in here today, and I look for this runner to be forwardly placed, potentially giving Rudy Brissett his first win on the meeting. Race number 9, this is a good one. I'm very excited as this is the Grade 3 Honeybee. It's the 38th running for our 3-year-old fillies for a purse of $500,000, 1 mile and a 16th, and a total of 105 Kentucky Oaks qualifying points. So a lot on the line here, Matt. Some already have some points, but as we know, a lot of them come here to Oaklawn to clinch, I should say, their spot in the starting gate in Kentucky.
Well, yeah, and I would say that you would clinch your spot getting 50 points.
I think so.
So with that in mind, this is an important race for these fillies, and Mohima number 1 is both of our picks, Nancy. I don't think she's a lock. I don't want to say I don't have a strong opinion necessarily, but she is one that has dealt with pressure on the lead going 1 turn. Her 2-turn race going 1 mile and an 1/8 in the Grade 2 Demoiselle was very good. She was able to clear off down the backstretch and won the race, but she was all out to defeat a Chad Brown trainee who was has not run back since and was many lengths ahead of the third place horse. I don't know how strong that race was. I also wonder how this gal's going to do going a mile and a 16th off the break. She was a lot more dynamic in those sprint wins, but I think she's the best filly in the race. Brad Cox, you don't have to worry about him having horses ready to go off of freshening here, and she's going to be my pick from the rail, but I do not think she's a lock. I will say also about Payson Park, which is where a lot of his horses are training right now. It's a very deep surface.
Oh, that's
so that's going to help this filly, I think, in terms of fitness. The times are not fast, but they usually aren't over there. So that's something
That's good to know. And it's interesting, Brad Cox said in an interview with Daily Racing Form's Mary Rambolini, he doesn't think she has to be on the lead, which is very, very interesting.
Good. Encouraging.
And I do like the fact, a lot of times the one post, especially in a larger field routing, all those horses coming down to get into a position to go into that first turn. She handled the one post last time, so it's not a big concern that she is drawing that inside rail
in
today.
a big field, by the way.
In a big field. Yeah, another big field as we see across the card. And that is certainly the case in race number 10, the 66th running of the Grade 3 Razorback. $500,000, 4-year-olds and up, and they are going to contest a mile and a 16th. And check this out, a full field of 14. And I think this is possibly one of the most wide open stakes we have on the card.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I picked a price in this race. This is a very competitive race. I think I'm not going to say there are holes in the form of certain horses, but I think that there's question marks would be a better way to phrase it.
For sure.
For example, Banishing, who's the morning line favorite. He's been so dynamic sprinting. The question is, can you duplicate that form going a mile and a 16th? And that is not going to be easy to do.
No, it is not. But, I mean, we do have good stats with David Jacobson going from a couple sprouts to a route, and he is effective. So we will see, but that's a big step up. It's a big step up just to, stay with Stakes Company, but to step up in a group like the Razorback this year, that's I'm going to say a potentially a big ask.
It's a very big ask, and obviously David Jacobson must think this horse can route okay. It looked like he turned the corner not only for the Jacobson barn once he got in that stable, but also when he started sprinting. So the question becomes with him, is he a better horse because of the way that David Jacobson trains and his regimen, or is it because this horse maybe just is a sprinter? And as you can see by my top picks, I'm going to try to beat them all around. I'm not even going to use them because I think it's going to be very difficult to run back to those races. And I picked a well-bred horse named Alexander Helios. I'm taking a swing with this horse here. I thought his last race was better than ever off the layoff for trainer Safi Joseph Jr., and Safi wins at 27%, second off a break, over 180 days. Ran at Gulfstream. Sometimes that Gulfstream form doesn't necessarily translate well in other places, so that's a concern. But I like the way this horse won last time. I think there's room for him to get better off that run. And I think if they're sending him here, they must like him. And the fact of the matter is this horse is a half-sibling to Rombauer. Speaking of Rombauer wine, he actually is a half-sibling. So Alexander Helios has the pedigree to be decent, and he's got a bullet work 59 flat leading up to this race. So I'm going to pick Alexander Helios and take a shot here. I agree with you, Nancy. This is a very competitive race.
Extremely. It's interesting that the high weight is First Mission and 5-1 on the morning line.
Yeah.
He is going to be my top pick. Didn't really have any excuses in the Grade 1 Stephen Foster or the Grade 1 Whitney, running 4th and 7th respectively. Really just didn't fire those particular days. I like the fact that they said, you know what, maybe he needs a little break. That's exactly what they gave this runner as he now makes his 5-year-old debut off a race from early August at Saratoga. He's won off a similar freshening before, and he's trained well since. He's got a good series of drills, and we will see if he can fire today as the high weight. A little surprised that the last year's Essex winner is the high weight in here, but that just goes to show you how competitive our Razorback is this year. And a lot of people, I look forward to seeing them in the Oaklawn Handicap and also later in the year against against handicap runners.
And I think this is a good starting point for First Mission. And like, for example, I think he'll run well because he's a good horse, but also for me personally, he also doesn't need to win this race. He could very well win. So that's why I'm looking at it. Banishing, First Mission doesn't need to win this race. Skinner's a bit of a plotter. He's a good horse, but he doesn't win that often. So some of these favorites, they've got form that indicates they're beatable, even though they're very good. And fun fact, I've only called one 14-horse field in my life on
Okay.
a microphone. It was the San Francisco Mile. We got 14.
Okay.
So I was praying, keep this 14-horse field intact so we get a second one here. So I'm excited.
Your
I'm
first
fired up.
Oaklawn
Yes.
14-horse field. That's the way we got to say
Yeah,
that.
we had a shot in the Trails End last year.
Yes.
I think we got 13.
I think we got 13.
But that's still good.
But
I'll
that's
take
pretty,
it. I'll
that's
take
pretty
it.
impressive, a 14-horse field. Speaking of big fields, let's take a look at race 11. It is the 65th running of the Grade 2 Rebel Stakes, $1.25 million purse, and they will go a mile and a 60th, 105 total qualifying points towards the Kentucky Derby. Did have a scratch of their number 10 Bullard. Unfortunately, is not going to be competing today, but man, oh man, there's some good 3-year-olds that are going to the starting gate for this year's running.
This is a heck of a race. I actually saw Michael McCarthy yesterday, who trains Bullard. Had a little fever, so they had to scratch him. Michael said, I was really looking forward to running this horse
Yeah.
because I think he's a really nice horse. He was at the golf simulator over at Mainline.
Oh, was he
playing some
really?
golf.
That's too funny.
So it was good to see Michael. I've known him for a couple of years from California. A really good trainer, really good guy. But he's got 2 others on the program. Anyway, going back to the Rebel, I'm going to pick our Southwest winner, Speed King, in here. Everybody under the sun and their mother knows that Sandman had a bad trip
Yes.
last time out, stumbling at the break, and was very impressive. And I understand that. He got a fast pace to run into. The pace is projected to be fast here. But I think Speed King also ran a better than looked race in his own right, given that into the far turn, American Promise, ridden by Tyler Bacon, made an early move to come and challenge him. And these two sprinted away from the field 6-7 lengths of the third place horse. And in my opinion, this horse had a right to stop, and he had to move early, and he just kept on chugging along. I think there's room for this horse to even run a little bit better, and I also don't think he needs the lead. I think they were trying to stalk last time out, and the pace was slow in the first part of the race, so he found himself on the lead. That won't be the case today. There's going to be some very fast pace setters here. Smokin' Wicked's going to be close. Innovator's going to the front, so he's going to sit right off of him, get a good trip, and I think he can get the first jump on Sandman and maybe win again. I think he's a good horse. I don't think his last race was a fluke. And Ron Moquette even said, hey, I want to win the Arkansas Derby. We don't have to run in the Rebel unless he's doing really well, and he's telling us that he's ready to run again and ready to do something more than just work out. And he's in. So that tells me what I need to know
Right.
answering that question.
Well, it's interesting. Rafael Bejarano was one of my guests this morning for Dawn at Oaklawn, and I specifically asked him, is Speed King a need-the-lead type of horse? And he doesn't think so, which
Okay,
is very interesting that he might possibly try to rate today. Matt picked the winner of the Southwest. I am going to go for the second place finisher in the Southwest. He spotted the field by about 7 lengths, and Christian Torres credits his pinky toe for saving him, for not coming off of Sandman shortly after the break. And Mark Cassie was shocked at Torres's athleticism to be able to remain in the irons. He has only worked once since. That came on February 9th here at Oaklawn, 5 furlongs. And Mark says that is absolutely by design. He said, the older I've gotten, I realize more horses are overtrained than undertrained. So horses of this caliber, you might not, they're that good. They don't have to train every single day. And he did not go to the track yesterday when we opened, which I thought was interesting. So he's kind of walking or shed rowing into the race. I think he's going to get a very nice stalking trip with the amount of speed. But for him, I do think it is all about the break, because last time he broke in that tangle, he's been bumped. He's gotten off a step slow. So it is going to be Christian's responsibility in the starting gate to make sure that he has a very clean getaway, because there's a lot on the line in a $1.25 million race. So very interesting.
It's a great race, and just really the whole card. A phenomenal job by Pat Pope and his team in the
Very.
racing office. And also our horsemen who are running horses and saying, we want to run. And when we have big fields, they're not saying, oh, this field's too big, I'm going to scratch.
Right.
They're running. So it's a team effort. Great card, highlighted by this race, which is a phenomenal race. And you could go many different ways in here. I even think Hypness, he's a very good horse that just
That
broke
horse
his
has been
maiden.
talked about a lot. Just-
Publisher, he's a maiden.
That's
I
another
like
horse
him. I
that
think
is
he's going to run very
tastic.
well.
I mean, it's
Tastic,
just
yeah.
such a chock field of really good, talented 3-year-olds who we hope to see next out in the Arkansas Derby. We're talking full fields, and that is the case in the 12th and final. This is for Arkansas bred 3-year-olds and up, 6 furlongs. furlongs is the distance. Scratches of just your also eligibles, and there you can see 2 jockey changes as well for the nightcap.
Yeah, Irad Ortiz sticking around for the nightcap to ride Mayor, trained by Ron Moquet, who some call the mayor of Oaklawn.
They do.
Pretty funny. And Cowboy Sense Manny Esquivel scratched the also eligibles here. I love this. Archie bred maiden special weight to end the day. And I've got a horse that's coming off a layoff that I like today, Touchdown Arkansas, thanks to our friends at Bruno DeJulio and, of course, Oaklawn.com/racing/workouts. We've got a replay for you with number 11, Touchdown Arkansas, a couple of mornings ago. He went a half mile in 47 and change, and this horse looked terrific, I thought, in the morning that afternoon. We're going to take a look at the top of the stretch here. Here we go. Again, you can find all these videos on Oaklawn.com. A Touchdown Arkansas is on the outside of a Kentucky bred. And they went quick here, but what I like about this work is the rider isn't even moving his hands on Touchdown Arkansas. And the rider inside on Bourbon Life, that Kentucky-bred workmate, he's shaking him up pretty good, and this horse is toying with this workmate here. And you're going to see past the wire. They're going to keep going here. But you're going to see Touchdown Arkansas stride out. They're going to let him do something. And right when the rider sort of not shake the reins, but showed him a loose rein, he kicked on and easily outworks this stablemate. I thought this was a very, very good work. And I think with that in mind, as long as he's fit enough to go 6 furlongs off the layoff, I think he's decent. They thought first out enough of him to run him in a stake, and he didn't run a step. But we can be forgiving of that. Took time off after that. I like him at a price.
I like it. And we've learned that you and I are both forgiving handicappers. We
Absolutely.
Always give
We're
them a
nice
mulligan.
people, you know.
I would say they're human, but they're equine athletes, and some just have off days.
Oh, sure.
I am going to go for the mayor, as this runner
Okay.
is named for Mark Toothaker's dad, who was a longtime mayor of Van Buren, Arkansas. So a lot of
That's
eyes
cool.
will be on Mayor here this afternoon. Really like the work tab, especially that 4 furlong drill out of the gate in early February in 47 and 3. So 47 and 4, excuse me. So really came home nicely. Followed that up with another half mile work over the mud on the day before Valentine's Day in 48 and 4. So 2 of 3 foals for the dam have won on debut. The third foal won at second asking. So love the fact that they fire very quickly in their career, and given the fact with the history, I think a lot of people in Van Buren and probably Fort Smith are going to be betting on Mayor, affectionately named for Mr. Toothaker.
Very cool.
Those are our 12 races, and I got a very interesting text that I want to share. Facig Tipton will be matching up to $10,000 today for
Wow.
the bell, and every
cool.
single jockey has signed up to donate as well today, should they make it to the winner's circle. So
Very
we
cool.
definitely want to thank our friends at Facig Tipton, as they have gone on board with us for our retired thoroughbred athletes. So that is a very, very big deal.
It's a huge deal, and also very important. Our thoroughbred horses, as folks who are in charge of taking care of them,
Yes.
humans are in charge of making sure these horses are safe and sound. Horses are animals. Horses can hurt themselves, and we need to make sure they are properly fed,
Yes.
taken care of. They can't talk to us. If they have an injury, we have to be able to detect it. But it doesn't stop after they run. They need to be cared for after they're racehorses, whether they're slow, fast, large, small, whatever they
I love
are.
that.
And it's a phenomenal program, and I really emphasize phenomenal, that Oaklawn and a couple other tracks have sort of hopped on the bandwagon to
have.
have this
I love that.
ring the bell program. Terrific, Nancy.
I think
Everything about
Yeah,
it.
I think it's really brought even more awareness. Very proud to be part of the
Yes.
board of the Arkansas Thoroughbred Retirement and Rehabilitation
Nice, good for you.
Foundation.
That's
And
awesome.
it's been a passion long before I got on board here in Arkansas, but that we do respect the horses because they still have their entire lives to live. So again, thank you to our riders and of course our friends at Facig Tipton. In addition to our 12 race selections, that was a lot of homework we put in
It
that.
sure was.
We are going to give you our $20 show bet bonus parlay in addition to our long shot and top pick sponsored by Oaklawn Anywhere. Matt starts in race number 4 with Cherie DeVos Justique. Then goes to race 8 with Amber Cascade and Muhima for the Brad Cox Barn in the Honeybee, and Speed King in the Rebel. I'm going to do an all-stakes show bet bonus parlay with Pinot, Muhima, First Mission, and Sandman. And First Mission, I think I'm going to get a good price despite being the high weight in the Razorback Handicap, while Matt starts it off in race 2 with Breslau. Top pick sponsored by Oaklawn Anywhere. Amber Cascade for Matt in the 8th, and I'm going to go with the filly Muhima in the Honeybee. It is such a fantastic day. Matt, is there any horse in particular that you're looking forward to seeing today?
Well, I am interested to see how Cornucopian runs, because there's a lot of hype about this horse, and it's always fun for a race caller to be able to call maybe a future star. But I'm also very interested to see how Speed King and Sandman do after such good races in the Southwest.
You know, we didn't really give Coal Battle a whole lot of talk, but he is our Smarty Jones winner who is looking for his 4th straight victory. So a really good human interest story from the barn of Lonnie Briley.
Yeah.
And a lot of these horsemen their phone has been ringing off the wall since those victories, and you got to respect it, especially for the connections of Coal Battle. They said, you know what? This is our chance to have a really good 3-year-old potentially in the Kentucky Derby. We're not going to sell. So you have to respect that. And a lot of times, these guys don't need the money. They're in
100%.
it for the chance to go make it to the big dance.
And the good thing about Coal Battle is he's very consistent. A horse like him, he's not a physically imposing looking individual. He comes from an outfit that's smaller, but also an outfit that a lot of people around the country don't know about.
Right.
They don't know who Lonnie Briley is unless you watch Louisiana Downs and Delta Downs. So it's easy for this horse to be ignored on all of these factors, along with the fact that last time was the first time he was really flashy in a race and opened up and won for fun. And that's what we like to see as humans. I think it's natural to want to see stellar athletes, huge performances. But these horses that are consistent but not always flashy, sometimes they're the ones that end up on top. So he should be respected, and I also respect Lonnie Briley because this is a lot for somebody like this with all the media attention. And he has just done a phenomenal job keeping people updated with how this horse has done, a job well done on his training efforts.
Yes, a lot of respect to all the connections for all of our 12 races today. You're going to see me down in the paddock, Matt up in the announcer's booth with some further analysis throughout the day. 6 stakes make up the 12-race program, and first post is at noon, just a little over half an hour away. So without further ado, for Matt Dinnerman, I'm Nancy Holthus. Good luck and welcome to Rebel Day.